Hi everybody. Um, it's really been overwhelming that I hear that I get so many comments that I have started talking about the Devi, and for the last few days I've been thinking that we actually do have so many people who are actually trying to get to know the Devi, and of course, there's no doubt if you look at any of the Shakti peaks, you'll see there are like dozens and dozens of people who are going there, and they're all there in awe of the Devi. So that's something really nice. Some people have complained that they can't hear me, but anyway, I'm trying my best to keep my volume high um, so that I can explain properly. I have been getting questions like people are really confused. Most people I find these days are very confused about everything. So, to add up to their confusion, Devi has got into it, and Bhakti has got into it, Tantra has got into it, and a lot of spirituality has got into it. So, I've got a question that the difference between Bhakti and Tantra, and somebody has also asked the kind of Tantras and the ways of Tantras which are there. So, as far as Bhakti is concerned, what is the basic difference between Bhakti and Tantra? Tantra is a type of Bhakti. And what Bhakti is? Bhakti is something that I would say that I am an embodied soul and the Supreme is up there, who is not a patch of what I am, and I am going to be serving the god or the goddess, whichever, because both are the same to me. And Bhakti is like I am like a rock who cannot be dissolved in water. And so what am I going to do? I'm going to serve. I'm going to serve, and I'm going to serve the one above like a servant. I'm going to serve the Supreme Soul like a servant. And that is where I'm going to derive my energy from. Most pure, Param Shuddha. Forever awake, forever lightened, forever pure. So I'm going to serve as a friend, as a servant, as somebody who's really dedicated, and I'm going to merge with you after I die. That's Bhakti in a nutshell. True Bhakti really keeps you grounded, keeps you humble. It would give you peace because you'll have this feeling that you don't have to do everything yourself. There is somebody who's a guiding force and who's going to guide you forever in getting something done. So you don't have the burden on yourself of accomplishing everything yourself. You can keep that load on somebody else, where that somebody else, the Supreme, is going to do things for you. On the other hand, what does the Tantra say? Tantra says that there is no doubt that you are superior. There is no doubt that you are special. There is no doubt where you are the most important and the most superior. But I am also a part of you. I am made out of you, and I am made out of your energy. It's for sure that if I am a part of you, then someday, sometime, I will rise to that level of purity where I am going to cleanse myself to such an extent that one day I will rise myself towards that situation or towards that position where I will be able to merge with you. But I am not ready to do that, or I'm not ready to wait for it when I die or after my death. So I'm going to do it in this lifetime as alive as possible, and I'll work on myself till the time I manage to get to see you sometime. And that sometime when I get to see you, I'm going to keep calling out to you, rising above my base fears, and one day reaching that place for sure. So you need to rise above your primal fears like ignorance, lust, jealousy, and all the other desires that you have to reach that position. I'm going to keep purifying myself constantly till such time I reach there. And one day I'm going to see you. And the day I'm going to see you, I will become you. So this is what Tantra is. And as I explained, the difference between Bhakti and Tantra. It is a very difficult path because you're constantly getting grilled inside, doing sankalp inside that what you should do and what you shouldn't do. It's a constant tussle, it's a tug of war inside, constantly being able to do, purifying yourself, doing all the kind of nyasas and all pranayams and keeping yourself completely with your head on your shoulders. And of course, even in this path, as it is absolutely, reputation of Tantra has been ruined beyond imagination. So obviously people are definitely, they don't know what exactly it is and they're very scared about it. They only treat Tantra when it's to do with black magic or somebody is doing something to you, and it's very limited to that. But of course it is not limited to that, because you're going above any of these issues, any of these emotions when we are talking about Tantra and Tantric practices. Somebody has asked the difference or the types of Tantras that are there. One is Vaishnav Tantra. There is Shaivite Tantra, which is to do with Shiva. There is Shakta Tantra, which is to do with the goddess. There is Shaura Tantra, which is to do with your with sun, which is mainly to do with your solar plexus, Manipur chakra. And there is Ganapataya Tantra, which is to do with Ganesh. And there are 6 other various ways in this which can be done. It depends on the lineages, where it's coming from and who's initiated to you and what they follow. There is Kolachar, there is Samachar, there is Mishrachar, there is Vamachar, there is Dakshinachar, and there is Divyachar. Achar in Sanskrit means ways, and acharan, basically your behavior. The Lalita Sahasranam, it's mentioned that the Devi likes being invoked in the Kolachar method. So if you see, Kolachar basically started from Kashmir. So there are people who have surnames Kol in Kashmir. And that means that their ancestors or their grandparents, in the lineage, they have been practicing Kolachar method of the practice. So these are all different schools of thought that are there in the tantric practices. Each have got its own way. You can do a tantric sadhana in the Kola way, the Samya way, the Vamachar way, the Dakshinachar way, the Mishrachar way, or the Divyachar way. Samyachar and Mishrachar have originated from North India. In UP and Bihar, you will have people who've got the surname Mishra. It's the same, like as I said, it's a lineage. In that, they used to do a combined practice of Kolachar and Samyachar. Samyachar is basically praying to your deity, to your tantric deity, through your solar plexus, that is the Manipur chakra. So that is something which is completely internal. So this is about only and only Manipur chakra and above it, and nothing below that at all. Literally, in terms of ingredients, in Vamachar and Kolachar you can use wine and the other things which are there in terms of intoxication. Samyachar, you will never use wine. In Dakshinachar, you will never use wine or fish. In Mishrachar, you may or you may not, depending on your initiation. It also depends on the type of energy that you're trying to invoke. Kolachar can never be practiced without initiation. Samyachar can be practiced without initiation, just by raising the Kundalini. Divyachar has got a lot to do with visualization and internal workings, and you visualize and then you invoke the energy and all that. Most of tantric sadhaks, or the ones who are doing the sadhana, especially for invoking Kali, Tara, Baglamukhi, Dhumavati, Kolachar is used. In Kolachar, firstly your guru might tell you that you can chant at home. Then they can tell you that you can chant at home at night. Then your guru can tell you that you have to go outside in the evening and chant and come back at night. Later on he can say you can go out at night and chant and come back. Then again he can say that you can go at night, chant in a secluded place and come back. And later on he can say that you can go to a cremation ground and then chant there and come back. Depending. Sometimes Guru might say that then you find a dead body and sit on it and chant. So there are various ways. Then they can tell you that you can go and stay there in the cremation ground for 40 days, 60 days, 90 days, 1 year, depending on the kind of practice that you're doing. He can also ask you to make your bread on the funeral pyre, to get. So these are just ways of getting rid of fear and getting rid of all the anxieties and the stress that you have, all the other material things that we go through, all the other material thoughts that we have as a part of the society. So it's absolutely different. So it's a very detailed thing, and it's not a very easy thing to practice. It's not something that you can just think about one day, and I believe it's a calling. If you really are connected to the goddess in some way or the other, it depends on her whether she wants you to do it or not. It does not depend on us at all. I mean, this is what I have seen in my life. That is because my foundation of my faith is absolute experience, and this is what I have experienced in my life, and I have changed over the years, right from, and I see my change every 2 months, 3 months, and I see that I keep changing, and every day it's different. My mindset is different. The way I react to people is different. The way I listen to people is different, and everything is different. I just hope that I'm being able to, probably make a difference to at least a few people's life, at least who are interested in studying the scriptures and studying in the way of worship, internal worship, or the other sadhanas that you want to do. I hope I can help people in that. Because it's not that you only can follow the Kola way, but the thing is, we can, as sitting in our home, also do sadhana. It's all about being attached and being detached at the same time, as I have discussed in many of my videos earlier. And I think it really is a matter of love. I think it's love for the deity and its love for the goddess, that I am being able to talk about her and spread the knowledge. And I shall keep doing that as long as you guys want to hear it. So thank you for sparing your time. And as I keep saying, let's get the Devi in.